you'll be there and then people be selling you, we didn't even know about it.
How? How are you telling me this?
Hey guys, it's your girl Valeria Jewa and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, kindly subscribe, share, like, comment, and if you're an old subscriber here, thank you for being here once again. I really appreciate it. Actually, today I wasn't planning on recording a video, but this video was mostly requested, so I was like, why not? Like, I'll do anything because I love you guys. You get what I'm saying?
I bet say that thing.
Today's video is going to be about 7 things I wish I knew before becoming an au pair, or 7 things that you should know before becoming an au pair. And to be clear, this may be different from anybody else's experience. This was my experience. So without wasting much time, let's just get right into business. If you see me looking down here, it's because I have made them in points on my laptop, and then I'll be looking on my laptop, so it's not a distraction. I'm actually looking out here for you guys. Okay. The first thing I'm going to talk about is cultural differences. It's so much important, and I wish I knew this before I came to Germany to become an au pair. I just wish that I was more prepared for it. When it comes to food, when it comes to how people were brought up outside the country, and then how you were also brought up in your country. The same way you were brought up is not how someone was brought up. And because you're about to take care of someone's child doesn't mean that you are supposed to apply what or how you were being brought up to someone else's child. These children here were brought up to voice out their opinion, and sometimes it may come out as very rude, but then you should know how to go about it. When it comes to also food, for instance, I wasn't used to the food here. I actually had difficulty getting used to it. I remember the first time I came, my host mom prepared potatoes and then vegetables. We hadn't eaten the whole day and I was hungry, so I'm expecting something heavy, because coming from a country that I would eat heavy food 3 times a day, and coming here and giving me 3 potatoes with vegetables, I'm like, what's going on?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
And then that is also their culture. They are used to it. They are not used to eating that 3 meals a day. If I knew about this, I would have actually brought more food than clothes. I think that's one thing that we have to be prepared for when it comes to cultural differences. You need to know that you are not in your country, and you have to have an open mind to receive or accept some cultural differences. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is I was very lonely when I was an au pair. It's normal that you move to a different country and then you have to start your life scratch from zero. You don't know anybody there, and it gets so difficult. The time that I used to break down, I used to cry, because I'm like, what have I gotten myself into? These are realistic things that happens, and you go through it. You are going to break down sometimes. When you do cry it out, you get into your feelings. There's sometimes that you just don't want to do this anymore. And I wish I knew that these things were going to happen, so that I prepared myself psychologically and mentally for it, so that anytime that I wanted to break down, I'm like, oh, you already knew this already, like, why are you crying? But yeah, like I said, it's normal, so it is what it is. So the next point I'm going to talk about is that I wish that I knew I had to adjust my life to fit into a family schedule with regards to curfew, with regards to also food. There's some families that when you are in, you have to adjust your eating habits. For instance, their ways of eating, the number of times they eat, the kind of food that they eat, because you're also staying with them, so you eat any food that they're supposed to eat. Your pay is 260. You don't have the luxury to be doing, today I feel like eating this, tomorrow I feel like eating this. So you have to adjust your life to fit into their life. You have to eat whatever they are eating. With regards to curfew, for instance, if you're live for a party and then you go out and you come back home anytime that you want, when you're living with people who are not even your family members, you should know that there's some things you have to cut off. Then sometimes you even work too much that you don't even have time for all these kind of things. Like, that's one thing that I wish I had more understanding about. I wish I knew that my life was going to change with regards to these things. And sometimes it might not be in a bad way that you are readjusting your life. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the language. If you're an au pair in an English speaking country, there's no need for you to learn any language. But for me, German was a headache. It was so much difficult for me and I remember there were times that we were sitting at a dining table eating, and then they were having conversations, and I felt so lost. I'm asking myself, what are these people talking about? Are they talking about me? Are they going to tell me? There was one time that I went out to the au pair family. My host mom was driving, but she was on the phone and I was snapping. Just recently, you know how Snapchat reminds you of what happened or what you snapped 3 years ago? Snapchat reminded me. So I was like, okay, this is a memory. Let me just watch it. And I watched it. And my host mom was literally talking about me. And I had no idea what she was talking about. So I wish I had taken the German language, so important. And I think you should too, because you'll be there and then people be telling you, we didn't even know about it.
How? How are you telling me this?
The next thing I'm going to talk about is I wish I knew that living with people could be so complicated. Living with people itself is not an easy thing, but living with people and working in the same environment can be very, very complicated. Sometimes you may not even be able to voice out your opinion about certain things because you're in the same environment and you feel like if you say it, how are you going to deal with the atmosphere? Or sometimes you don't know how to go about it because you're scared that, hey, what if these people sack me out of their house? You have to be open-minded about these things because you do not also know the family you're going to meet. And one thing that I wish I knew before I became an au pair is the importance of speaking up. Some families that try to make you work more than you're supposed to. It's very important to lay down the boundaries, and it's also very important to tell them how you feel about certain things. You don't have to come out as being rude or unappreciative. There is nothing wrong with letting them know how you feel. But if you don't lay down the foundation and you keep on doing the things that you do not like or does not sit right with you, you just continue to do it without like them knowing. So I wish I knew that I had the right to do that and then I could actually voice out my opinion. Like I said, not in a very rudely manner. Know how to talk to people. Know how to come off as not being rude even though you are putting out the fact. Another thing that I wish I knew was not to have expectations. My guy, don't have expectations.
Are you sure?
Yes, this is not the job for you to be having expectations about. There are people that go on YouTube and someone will post a YouTube video and say, a day in the life as an au pair, I'm going to pick up my friends and then we are going on a vacation with my host family. Some people are lucky to experience all these kind of things, but not all families are the same. If you have that expectation, if you watch someone's YouTube channel and then you think that you're coming to have a vacation, you better think twice because my sis, it is not like that. It is not a vacation. There is a difference between what you see on the internet and reality. So it is literally two different perspectives. But there could be a possibility that you come and then the family would want to go on vacation for you, but they're not obliged to give you a ticket to go for vacation. They're not obliged to take you for dinner with them. So don't have these expectations or you are going to be disappointed. So the next point I would want to talk about is do have a plan B. It's very important for you to have a plan B. You should be able to ask yourself, if this doesn't work for me, what's the next thing? So I experienced something when I was an au pair. My first host mom, she kicked me out of her house.
He shot you.
Just imagine you don't have a plan B, you don't know anybody here, because that friend of yours who's also an au pair, she cannot help you. She's also staying with someone. So there's no way you can actually seek help from this particular friend of yours who's also an au pair. You can actually talk to other families whilst you are still with the family, even though she's treating you very well, because you may not know when things will go south. I'm not saying that have that mindset that something is going to go bad, but just have a backup plan so that if this doesn't work out, you know what to do. Think about all these things before becoming an au pair so that if anything's supposed to happen, you can be able to figure your way out. Last point that I have here is the importance of talking to the last au pair. Before you sign a contract with any family, the family makes you talk to their last au pair. And it's very important to take their opinions because these people will tell you the truth. Maybe they may even say positive things about them, but then there's always a but somewhere. They pay attention to those but. When I was back home, the last au pair that was at my family's house, she actually told me a lot of things that I took for granted, that when I became the au pair for that family, I actually saw all of them coming into reality. When she told me about it, my mindset was, there's always two sides to a story, so I'll just give the woman benefits of the doubt. And I actually went through exactly what she had warned me about. And sometimes you're really excited about moving, so the red flag doesn't even ring a bell until you actually come and you're like, oh, I actually found myself in this situation. I wish I actually took the opinion of the last au pairs of my host family very seriously before actually signing the contract with them. So this brings us to the end of today's video. I hope that this actually helps someone who's already an au pair or who is planning on being an au pair, so that you know what to expect, what to do and what not to do. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and then hit the notification bell so that anytime I post a video, you will be notified. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.